Welcome to this recording of a new look at the origin and nature of cosmic creation. This profound discourse was originally delivered by Paramahansa Yogananda at the First Self-Realization Fellowship Temple in Encinitas, California, on September 29, 1940. We are honored to share his divine insights and timeless wisdom with you today. Today, I shall explain the origin and nature of cosmic creation in a new light. The picture I shall give will be different from any you have had from textbooks. It is coming to me from the infinite as I speak. All the knowledge there is to be known in every branch of science and art, including the mystery of the atoms and the history of the universe and of human beings, is already existing in the ether as vibrations of truth. These vibrations are all around us, and there is a way to contact them directly. That way is through the all-knowing intuitive power of the soul. To discover any truth, we have only to turn our consciousness inward to the soul, whose omniscience is one with God. When those who are receptive hear someone speak truth, it seems so familiar. Their first reaction is, "I thought so." The mind has simply recognized a truth already known intuitively by the soul. From that source come all the lectures I give. If I had to read in order to gather facts and ideas for my talks to you, I don't know what I would do. I read very little because it is not necessary. By the time I get through a few pages of a book, I know from its vibrations whatever truth it contains. Great souls who reveal to mankind deep spiritual truths receive their knowledge through direct attunement with the vibrations of those truths. Also vibrating in the ether are the concepts for every invention man has created or will create in the future. When an inventor's concentration is right, he is attuned to receive intuitively the idea vibration for the creation of his invention. The discoverers of these ideas may say that they have invented this or that, but they haven't really invented anything. They have only uncovered what was already there, the vibratory blueprint hidden in the ether. The beginning of the cosmic dream. To create a mental picture of how it was when God caused the universe to come into being, imagine that you are asleep and calmly dreaming of a vast space. Wherever you look, you behold endless space, naught else. You feel it as an infinite, blissful peace, permeated by an omniscient intelligence. So it was when that supreme intelligence began to muse. Long have I remained thus, alone, very peaceful, absorbed in my own bliss, consciousness, and wisdom, but now I am going to dream a cosmos. Then, this divine intelligence, which is spirit, began to create, consciously willing his ideas into being as dream manifestations. He divided his consciousness, differentiating his power from his absolute nature. His consciousness thus became separated into his unmanifest nature as vibrationless spirit, and his manifest nature as cosmic energy, consisting of infinite numbers of different vibratory perceptions or processes of his thought. We know how thought works. When we think of a horse, we do not see the object of our thought. But if we dream about a horse, we behold its image because our thought is more condensed. And when we see a horse with our physical eyes, our thought is still more condensed, attuned to the grossest vibrations of God's thought, those which manifest in forms tangible to the senses. As soon as spirit started his conscious dream, dividing his intelligence and power of thought into many things, the law of duality, or Maya, came into being. When, by the creation of duality, the consciousness of spirit separated itself, a portion of that consciousness went out from spirit as an active, intelligent force, restless to express its power. We have many illustrations of this in nature. When a maple seed is put into fertile soil, it begins to germinate, growing and spreading until it assumes the form of a mighty tree. So, when the seed of God's consciousness was planted in the soil of activity by His will, it sprouted into a vast creation. But it must be remembered that God is dreaming it all, that this cosmic creation is nothing more than a dream condensation of God's thoughts. The first differentiation of spirit was the manifestation of pure thought. Then, projected out of the thought seat of his consciousness, came light, cosmic light. Consciousness and light are the same, except that light is of greater density. The thought of light is finer than the dream of light, in the same way that the thought of fire is purely a mental concept, but the dream of fire is a perceptible image. After God had willed light into dream existence, he contemplated what he had created. Well, he thought, this is not exactly what I want. Just light spread all over cosmic space. There should be something more tangible. So he empowered that dream cosmic light to become definite forms. Now, here again, do not forget the word dream in connection with creation. If you take away the dream concept, you will find this creation hopelessly mystifying. So, God's dream light began to play over the spatial territory of the universe. This light is the tissue of all creation, which God began to think or will into a specific system, the finer light of life force, which I call lifetrons, and a condensation of lifetrons into the grosser atomic light of protons and electrons. God gave these protons and electrons a further strength by which they arrange themselves into atoms and molecules. With a still stronger thought, he caused the atoms and molecules to condense into gases, heat, liquids, and solids, all creations of his thought. The nebulas, or gases, came first. Then he began to dream into those nebulas a very strong force, and he willed, let these gases be condensed to produce heat, liquids, and solids. And according to his dream idea, it was so. God had worked out a process of Maya, or delusion, by which air, fire, water, and earth would appear to be different, though no difference really existed except in the thoughts of his dreaming consciousness. Then, he said, let us now begin to enjoy this dream creation of mine. God didn't want matter to become something different from himself, so he imbued it with a dreaming intelligence, which by a process of evolution would gradually awaken and realize that matter and mind, the idea vibrations of God, are one. The first expression of this innate intelligence in material creation is the first door through which matter passes to escape from this delusion, or Maya, into the freedom of God consciousness again. Locked in the elements and minerals, intelligence sleeps, so plant life came into being to provide freer expression. Out of scum that formed on the sea, living creatures appeared in the water, and some gradually evolved the capability to live on land. What had looked like inert matter began to take living form. The weaker forms of life were helpless before aggressive, stronger ones, and out of the struggle to survive came the process of evolution to higher, more efficient forms. Survival of the fittest seems to us a terrible law, but in the final analysis, it is not. The animals that are killing each other are only different manifestations of God's thought. While encased in those forms, they do not understand that they are images of mind. But when the little fish has been killed by the big fish, its dream form dissolves back into God's consciousness. The individualized spark of God within it incarnates in another form of life, of higher evolutionary value than that of its previous existence as a fish, giving the soul a greater potential for expression. So death is the means by which dream matter changes back into the consciousness of God, releasing the soul within it for the next step in its progressive return journey to God. Thus, death is a part of the process of salvation. The upward cycle of evolving intelligence in potentially more efficient instruments of expression continues until it reaches the ultimate form in man. Only a human being has the ability to express his innate divinity and to consciously realize God and transcend his Maya dream. Reincarnation is a series of dreams within a dream. When you reflect that this world is filled with death and that your body too has to be relinquished, God's plan seems very cruel. You can't imagine that he is merciful. But when you look at the process of death with the eye of wisdom, you see that after all, it is merely a thought of God passing through a nightmare of change into blissful freedom in him again. Saint and sinner alike are given freedom at death, to a greater or lesser degree according to merit. In the Lord's dream astral world, the land to which souls go at death, they enjoy a freedom such as they never knew during their earthly life. So don't pity the person who is passing through the delusion of death, for in a little while he will be free. Once he gets out of that delusion, he sees that death was not so bad after all. He realizes his mortality was only a dream and rejoices that now no fire can burn him. No water can drown him. He is free and safe. But such is the delusion of desire for material things that, after a time of freedom from the body, he wants to come back to earth. Even though the soul knows that the body is subject to disease and troubles, these delusive desires for earthly experience veil that knowledge and deceive his consciousness. So, after a karmically predetermined time in the astral world, he is reborn on earth. When death comes, he goes forth once more from the gross dream of this earth experience to the finer dream of the astral plane, only to be drawn back to this world. And again he returns until he is no longer desirous of an earthly life. Birth and death are doors through which you pass from one dream to another. All you are doing is going back and forth between this gross dream world and the finer astral dream world, between these two chambers of dream nightmares and dream pleasures. Thus, reincarnation is a series of dreams within a dream, man's individual dreams within the greater dream of God. Someone is born on earth in France as a powerful king, rules for a time, then dies. He may be reborn in India and travel in a bullock cart into the forest to meditate. He may next find rebirth in America as a successful businessman, and when he dreams death again, reincarnates perhaps in Tibet as a devotee of Buddha and spends his life in a lamasery. Therefore hate none and be attached to no nationality, for sometimes you are a Hindu, sometimes a Frenchman, sometimes an Englishman, or an American, or a Tibetan. What is the difference? Each existence is a dream within a dream, is it not? Will you continue helplessly to go through all these delusions and the difficulties they create? Each nation thinks its ways are justified, its customs the best. Are you going to go on with this delusion? I am not. For unless wisdom is supreme, reincarnation is a very troublesome experience. One should avoid forced reincarnation because it is a painful continuation of this dream delusion. For how long will you pass through these changes called life and death? Until you realize fully the dream nature of creation and awaken in God from its nightmares. The more I see of life, the more I realize it is a dream. I have found the greatest assurance in this philosophy I am giving to you now. Realize that you live solely by the grace of God. If he were to withdraw his thought, the physical manifestation would cease to exist. This world is a dream place, and we are all dreaming here. This life is not real. You are laughing and crying in the greatest delusion, and it is not worth shedding tears over. To give reality to our earth experiences is to invite untold misery. By identification of our consciousness with this world, we see it as a place of suffering. What is going to free us from suffering? Will money do so? Nothing material can. Knowledge of God and realization that we are forever one with Him is the only way to freedom. Remember this always. God would be very cruel indeed if this world were real. But He knows that when we have gone through the furnace of suffering and death enough times, we shall awaken and overcome delusion. We shall realize this earth as His dream and reincarnate no more. In the Bhagavad Gita, God speaks through Krishna, giving this promise. My noble devotees, having obtained me, have reached supreme success. They incur no further rebirths in this abode of grief and transitoriness. Suppose a man is struck by a bomb and killed instantly. On the battlefield, he was filled with fear, but after death, he joyously realizes he is free from fear and from the tomb of the body. One need not go through some ordeal to attain this knowledge. It is better to acquire wisdom through conscious spiritual effort. And if we have to endure trials, it should be with the right attitude. Think what Jesus went through as an example to us. He was nailed to the cross and had to pass through that dream of suffering. Yet before his crucifixion, he had said, "Destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up." He knew that the body and the nails with which it was to be held to the cross, and even the process of death, were but dreams. Because he realized this, he knew he could recreate life in his dream body again. Isn't that a wonderful way to view the delusion of life and death? It is the only way. Krishna began his revelatory discourse to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita with an exhortation to remember the transitory nature of matter and the eternal nature of form, that which dwells within it. We dream our own limitations. Life teaches you to believe that it is real. You feel you must have your food and sleep every day, that you will die without them. Your habits compel you to eat all kinds of foods that are harmful to you, such as meat, and to smoke and drink, and to think you can't do without these things. We are all crazily dreaming different limitations on our consciousness, and when we slip into the rut of a bad dream of wrong behavior, we have a hard time pulling ourselves out of it. Think how much time and effort you spend catering to the body. And what does it get you? Do you know that the more solicitous you are of your body, the more suffering you will have? If you are too much identified with this dream form, you become hopelessly immersed in delusion. As soon as you ascribe reality to the dream thoughts out of which God created all things, that dream reality begins to punish you with dream suffering. But when you realize that God is everything in this universe, nothing hurts you anymore. If you realize that both water and the body are dreams of God, you can walk on the water as did Jesus. One dream form can walk on another dream form. There is no longer a barrier of difference between solids and liquids, or any other form of matter. But you have to realize this. Such power does not come to you by mere imagining. There are cases in India where people have walked on fire without a single blister. Some of the foremost scientists of England observed one young boy as he walked through 27 feet of fire. A newspaperman who was present thought the fire a fake. He tried the same experiment and was badly burned. The young boy, by certain processes of thought, had convinced his mind of the truth that the fire was nothing but consciousness, and therefore could not harm the body, which was also consciousness. When you believe that cold weather won't hurt you, you won't be affected by it. But if you feel you're going to catch a cold from the chill, you will. The thing is this, you don't practice mind control. By controlling your mind, you can experience the truth that this universe is a delusion. This is why the saints require their disciples to discipline the body and not give it too much attention. The purpose is not to torture the body, but to save the disciple from all the troubles that will beset him if he believes that comfort comes from material things. Comfort comes from the mind. Change your mental attitude, and you will not feel discomfort. It is best to simplify life. I have seen saints in India who eat hardly anything and live under the most rigorous conditions, yet they have wonderfully strong bodies, far better than those of the average well-fed, well-cared-for American. They have trained their minds not to be dependent on externals for health and contentment. The world trains our minds in a different way. It gets us accustomed to too many things, and then we think we can't be happy without them. Make your life more simple, and simplify the lives of your children as well. If you don't do it, life's experiences will teach them through bitter disillusionment. Self-realization is a philosophy of living. Right meditation, right thinking, and right living. Bring up your children in this philosophy. Don't pamper them or teach them by wrong example to cater to their bodies and harmful desires. Give them good training. Why enslave them in delusion? Give them true freedom by keeping their lives simple and cultivating in them inner peace and happiness. Do the same with your own life. Don't be bound by anything. That philosophy will save you. If I am sitting in a chair and it breaks, I am not going to be distressed about the broken chair. I will sit in another chair. It makes no difference. Whenever you are attached to something, that possessiveness deepens your delusion. You will be rudely awakened one day to find that nothing belongs to you. Isn't it silly, therefore, to be attached to things that were never yours in the first place? Your attitude should be that you are looking after these things only for the time being, like a housekeeper who lives in her employer's home and devotedly, loyally, faithfully looks after it, but knows that her own home is elsewhere. Don't take life so seriously. This world is a terrible place. There is no safety here. But what are we to do? We must stop taking life so seriously. Delusion can be overcome by holding steadfast to one philosophy. Everything here is nothing more than God's motion picture. We are the players. We must play our parts well, but we must not identify ourselves too intensely with the drama. Meditation shows us the way to this inner freedom. It is the only way by which we can realize that this world is a dream, that the Lord has created the entire cosmos out of his thought. So though he created this dream earth, he has also shown the way to get out of it. Nothing terrible could happen in this world that we could not duplicate in a nightmare. You have had such experiences. If in a dream you feel your leg crushed under a car, your suffering seems just as real as if your limb were actually injured. But when you wake up, you laugh and say, "Oh, how silly. It was only a nightmare." This is exactly what will happen when you wake up in God. He will shake you out of this nightmare, saying, "What is the matter? You were only dreaming suffering and death." And he will show you reality. That experience he gives ultimately to all mankind. It is wonderful. God's dream creation was not meant to frighten you, but to prod you to realize finally that it has no reality. So why be afraid of anything? Jesus said, "Is it not written in your law, I said, ye are gods?" Yet even Jesus for a little while forgot his immutable divine nature and cried out, my God, why hast thou forsaken me?" But quickly he realized again that he was a son of God and could never be destroyed, which he proved by his resurrection. His whole life showed he had risen truly from the sepulchre of delusion. If you know intellectually that life is a dream, but still have not realized it completely, and still haven't found God either, you are neither in this world nor out of it. That is a sad state. Don't remain trapped in that delusion. Make a supreme effort to get to God. I am speaking practical truth to you, practical sense, and giving you a philosophy that will take away all of your consciousness of hurt. Be afraid of nothing. If death comes, all right. What is going to happen will happen. Refuse to be intimidated by this dream. Affirm, I will not be frightened by ill health, poverty, and accidents. Bless me, O Lord, that when you put me through trials, I realize their delusive nature and become victorious over them by positive action and by remaining inwardly united to you. In meditation, delusive dreams vanish. Meditation is the effort to realize and express that pure consciousness, which is the reflection or image of God within you. Do away with the delusion of body consciousness and the concomitant demands of body and mind for unnecessary necessities. Be as simple as you can be. You will be astonished to see how uncomplicated and happy your life can become. So free yourself. Otherwise, death will surprise you, and you will painfully learn how attached you are, how unprepared for your departure from this world. But if by right living, right thinking, and meditation you can race to the infinite, the dreams of life and death will vanish in the ever-new joy of his eternal being. Therefore, meditation is a dying to the world without dying. This is a new explanation the Lord has given me. In meditation, you do consciously what you do unconsciously every night in sleep. When you look at the body and think of its pains and sorrows, you say, "What is this? Surely I shall wake up and find this is all a bad dream." The answer comes every night when you sleep. This dream world and this dream body with its pains and aches disappear from the screen of your consciousness. If life were not a dream, you couldn't get away from it even in sleep. Every night, your consciousness leaves the body to remind you that you are not the body. And what you experience unconsciously at night in sleep you can experience consciously in meditation. Without falling asleep or losing consciousness, keep your mind calm and peaceful in deep meditation, just as it is in dreamless subconscious sleep, and enter the finer world of the superconscious. There, the body is forgotten, and you enjoy the peace and bliss of your soul, your true self, and of the soul's oneness with God. In samadhi meditation, I experience this joyous freedom, and meditation is the way by which you also must strive to rise above delusion and know your true nature. If you can hold on to that consciousness in activity as well as in meditation, remaining undisturbed by delusive experiences, then you will be above this dream world of gods. The dream will be over for you. This is why Lord Krishna stressed that if you want freedom in spirit, you must be of even mind under all circumstances. He who cannot be ruffled by these, that is, contacts of the senses with their objects, who is calm and even-minded during pain and pleasure, he alone is fit to attain everlastingness. My master Sri Yukteswar's training in this was wonderful. No matter what happened, he accepted no excuse for my becoming mentally ruffled. I used to go to the ashram and sit at his feet to meditate and listen to his wisdom. When the time drew near for me to go to catch my train, he would be aware of my mental restlessness and would just smile at me and say nothing that gave me leave to depart. At first, I thought he was very unreasonable, but after a somewhat strained period of this discipline, he explained, "I am not grudging your preparing timely to go to the train, but I say there is no need for you to be restless. Why allow nervous excitement to ruffle the mind? You should be naturally calm when you are with me, and when train time comes, calmly get ready to go." He made me miss several trains until I learned how to be calmly active as well as actively calm. This you must learn. Likewise, instead of hurrying in a state of emotional excitement to get someplace and then not enjoying it once you arrive because you are restless, try to be more calm. There is no excuse for being restless within. If you are always calm, you will also be more efficient. And if you want to wake up from this cosmic dream world, you must practice calmness, no matter what happens. As soon as your mind becomes restless, give it a whack with your will and order it to be calm. Don't make a fuss about anything. Whenever you worry, remember, you are deepening the cosmic delusion within you. It is your own dreams that frighten you. In every form of sense experience, you must remind yourself, it is a dream. There are 3 dreams that God made strongest in man: the pleasures of sex, gold, and wine. Don't give too much importance to them. Learn to live moderately, and you will be free. The more you give strength to any one of these, the more it will become a demon to keep you away from God. But nothing can keep you away from God, not even the greatest weakness you have, if you want to be free. Remember that habits are nothing but dreams you have nurtured to enslave you. You think you can't do without drink, but it is the mind that is holding you to the thought of drink. Cut out that thought, and that dream will be over. You will be free. No one keeps you deluded but yourself, and no one but yourself can free you. You have no enemy greater than yourself, and no greater friend. God has given you free choice to keep yourself in delusion or to extricate yourself from it. It is your own dreams that are frightening you. A man came to Lahiri Mahasaya, greatly troubled. "I keep seeing the hand of a ghost trying to choke me." Lahiri Mahasaya said, "You are frightened by your own dream." "But it is not a dream," the man said. "I see it." Lahiri Mahasaya said, "Still, it is not real. Everything is a dream." The man believed the Guru's words and was healed. So should you use your mind to change yourself, to heal yourself? Always affirm, nothing can hurt me, nothing can ruffle me. Realize that you are as good as the best man, as powerful as the strongest man. You must have more faith in yourself. If you make your mind strong, you will be rid of your nightmare. The power of the mind is limitless. Miracles performed by great saints may be miracles to us, but not to them. When you know that mind is the power that creates this universe, there is nothing you cannot do. But don't try in the beginning to do miraculous things. The mind is everything, but until you have learned how to use its power, it is foolish to reason. Since all is mind, I will jump off this cliff and be all right. But whatever you can truly convince the mind you can do, you can do. Since everything is made out of mind, it can be controlled by mind. As you develop more and more mental strength, ultimately, you will be able to do anything. The great ones have demonstrated this. Jesus could heal the sick, awaken the dead, turn water into wine. Krishna lifted a whole mountain and suspended it over his devotees to protect them from a destructive storm. These avatars proved that all is mind. They didn't merely imagine this, they knew and could say, I and my Father are one. And as the Father created all things out of his dream, so can those who are one with him. That is how the divine ones perform their miracles. Know ye not that ye are the temple of God, and that the Spirit of God dwelleth in you? If you can clarify and expand your mind through meditation and receive God in your consciousness, you too will be free from the delusion of disease, limitations, and death. This world was not meant to be a haven of peace, but a place of dreams, nightmares with occasional good dreams, from which we would ultimately awaken and return to our mansion in God. Only in God are you safe from delusion. So don't be attached to the passing dreams of life. Live for God and God alone. This is the only way to have freedom and safety in this world. Outside of God, there is no security. No matter where you go, delusion can attack you. Be free right now. Be a son of God now. Realize you are his child so that you may be rid of this dream of delusion forever. Meditate deeply and faithfully, and one day you will wake up in ecstasy with God and see how foolish it is that people think they are suffering. You and they are all pure spirit. Krishna said, of the unreal, there is no existence. Of the real, there is no non-existence. The final truth of both of these is known by men of wisdom. I could have meetings here with you every day, but that won't necessarily help you unless you put into practice what you hear. In these Sunday meetings, I have perhaps told you more than you would ever learn elsewhere in a lifetime. By coming to these services, you will know how the cords of delusion can be broken. Study your self-realization lessons at home and practice them faithfully. Each human being has to apply his own individual effort to get back to God. Anyone who tells you otherwise is not speaking the truth. God can help you. Guru can help you, but only if you yourself are making the effort to find God. You can't get money by watching someone else work. You have to work for it yourself. And only your working at finding God will take you to God. So make your mightiest effort now. Reserve your nights for meditation. Meditate with undivided attention. Let there be no mockery of mechanical prayer. Give your soul to God. Then you will see that your life, every minute of it, becomes a magic existence. As we conclude this discourse on a new look at the origin and nature of cosmic creation, let us reflect on Paramahansa Yogananda's profound teachings. Life is but a dream, and through meditation, right thinking, and inner realization, we can awaken to our true divine nature. May we simplify our lives, detach from worldly illusions, and focus on deepening our connection with God. Through inner calmness and spiritual effort, we can overcome all challenges and find lasting freedom and joy. Carry these divine truths with you, and may God's light guide your every step. Peace. Amen.